Hello and welcome to Low Budget Gaming, and welcome to another first Descendant video, and welcome to a quick summary of the dev Q&A, the Discord Q&A they held earlier today. So I've selected some of the highlighted replies because there are quite a few repeats and I wanted to focus on the main important stuff that they discussed. So first up, let's begin with my question. So I wanted to know what we are going to do with these extra weapon cores, because right now 7 is the highest, 6 and 7 are the ones we are using. What are we going to do with the level 1s and the level 4s that we have collected? And they basically said with the 6th February update, they will have a core upgrade system where you can use the lower tiers and combine them to get a higher tier core. Exactly what I wanted to hear. Now, the next question is also regarding the core and the weapon augments. So basically, if you see the purple one, the bonus firearm attack against one of the legions, somebody said this is pretty useless. Can we not get a flat damage to the gun instead? And they basically said they wanted the guns to be balanced. They don't want to overpower any guns. So this is deliberately designed so that there is no real huge benefit to one gun or one type of damage or things like that. So yeah, it's understandable. I mean, that was a given based on how it appeared. All right, next somebody had 3 questions here. Basically what they wanted to know was, when is keyboard and mouse support coming to console? And what about piercings and tattoos for the customization and other general customizations? So the reply was straight that on the 6th of February, we'll get the keyboard and mouse support for consoles. There are no plans for tattoos and piercings. And for the final one, they are adding more customization, things like dyeing the eyebrows and the beards of the descendants and things like that. So basically they want every part of the descendant to be dyeable, like you can color everything, because there's occasionally places here and there on the descendant's head or something that cannot be colored. So they are trying to look into that and make sure everything can be colored. Next up, we have the usual question of the power creep and Frena being overpowered and now Inez being overpowered. So 2-3 people asked this question, so I've selected one reply to show you what they said here. Basically, they believe that they need to buff the other descendants to the level of Frena so that everybody is viable, and they said they'll not leave Clay behind, because probably the person was asking about Clay. But yeah, they are trying to have more content and higher difficulty content so that they can bring up the others, and the weaker ones are also more viable and usable. Next, something I also wanted to know is bulk research option for crystallization catalyst. And once again, they said they are not considering a bulk research option, but they will have a feature where you can simultaneously research crystallization catalyst through new content. So I'm interested to know what this is, but it seems there's some other content where you can simultaneously research multiple crystallization catalysts. So I'm curious about that. I have a bunch already now, so I'm okay for now. But yeah, this is something that was kind of useful a couple of months ago in season 1. Next, somebody else was asking about Jayber's buff and Eugene and things like that. So yes, they said they are looking into more of this. There were 2-3 questions regarding Jayber and Luna and the recent buffs and changes. And general theme was that people were still thinking it's not good enough, and they said yes, they agree. They're looking further into improving Jayber especially, and people like Eugene and things like that. Next, somebody wanted to know about skins. So some of the old common skins, for example, there's this Twisted Worship skin that isn't available for Innis. People wanted to know if they can do that. So basically they said the older stuff, they are not going to change and adapt the new descendants to that, but they will have more skins. I think this is probably because the starting with Haley, I think they have added different body shapes to the descendants, the female descendants especially. I don't know about Keelan, because Keelan got one of the common skins as well, but for Inez they don't have that option. So they're saying in the future they'll have more skins, don't worry about it, things like that, but they have no plans to make the old skins compatible with the Inez. Next, there was another question in Korean. I think they were asking about whether there can be some stats to improve the skill of the descendants via the augmentation cores on the weapon cores. And basically they said that this was intentional. They don't want more skill power to the descendants through this weapon core system. So they just want to buff the weapons and not give more power to the descendant skills because they're already overpowered. So yeah, this was intentional. Next, somebody wanted to know about idle animations and basically walking animation, walking toggle on in Albion. And they said both of those things are under consideration. They are looking into it. Next, somebody wanted to know if there will be an option for crouching or sliding. And they basically flat out said there is no content that involves any crouching or sliding. So that is not something they have any plans to add. Next, another question regarding fellow and if there'll be new fellows. Somebody wanted to know if there'll be a Welsh corgi in the game, things like that. And they said yes, they are always considering new companions, and the next one will be a Labrador Retriever. They did not say when exactly, but yeah, they're gathering more feedback and considering more options for other fellows. They also wanted to know if there will be a descendant that can leech the health of enemies and use that. And they said it's an interesting concept and they may consider something like that for the future. Now, this is something I wanted to know as well. The next question, this is people asking whether they can change the role on the reactor for the first weapon. So basically, as you can see here, I got this reactor with a machine gun mounting. I wanted a tactical rifle, so I've added the tactical rifle. Now let's say I want to add a beam rifle and a handgun. The first one is sort of fixed. I can't change that. The second and third options I can change. So they wanted to know if they can change that, and they said yes, this is being discussed and we are planning to change that so that you can re-roll the first mounting condition on the reactor. So that is really good because this will make it so that when you find the perfect god roll reactor, you can put the 3 guns that you want and you can re-roll all of them whenever you want. You won't be stuck with, say, something like a launcher or something that you don't use. Next question is regarding endgame, and yeah, the question was, are you going to make endgame more challenging? The new boss is getting killed very quickly. So they basically wanted to know if you can make the endgame more rewarding, and they said yes, that is the plan. We are adding more levels to the Void Erosion Purge in the 6th February update. There'll also be more in the future, and they are also looking at other content to make the endgame content more challenging. Now, next question, again, this was something I could not find the original question, but it seems people wanted to know if it will be possible to distinguish the different factions more easily and how the elites are and the yellow bars and things like that. It was a little difficult in the recent Void Erosion Purge, so they are trying to come up with a solution so that it's easier to identify like elites and the factions and things like that. So it's much more simpler. They're also looking to add an option to summon a Colossus in the lab so that when we are testing different factions and stuff, we can also test against the Colossus in the lab. That is good. Now the next question is regarding the Void Abyss Metal Fragments. Now this is something new that has been added. You can only farm from the Void Abyss and also the infiltration missions. So you can get between 50 to 70 from the new boss, the Defiler, and from the infiltration missions, you can only get 20 per run. So they are going to increase that one from 20 to 40. So now you'll get 40 when you complete an infiltration missions. They're saying they'll also have more ways of getting that more metal fragments so that it's easier to unlock the cores on the gun. So there'll be more content that will be dropping these metal fragments. Now next up is something they mentioned in the dev stream earlier. Basically, if you are in a field doing a mission and there's another descendant, you can view their modules loadout and what the gear they're using and things like that. So that is something they're actively working on, and hopefully that will be introduced in March or something. That's what they said here. Another question regarding interaction with the fellow, and somebody wanted to know if they can have more options to interact with the descendant, because right now you can only do that in Albion. They wanted to do an interaction once you finish a mission and things like that. And they said it's a fantastic idea. They are looking at options to implement that because there are some limitations out in the open field. So they're looking at improving that. Next, there was another question regarding Luna and Jayber, and once again, they said the changes to Jayber haven't been satisfactory, so they are working to improve things like that. And there's some issues with the syncing of the music and the notes with Luna's rework, so they're also looking into that. Next was a question regarding photo mode, and they said this is again actively under discussion, and they are sort of debating whether to release a minimum spec version or something with more robust features later down the line. So that is something they left here for the public to answer. Next up, we had a question regarding like watching the Descendant instructor, the robot, like listening to their previous missions and how they explain things, and like basically rewatching that, and also difficulty level rewards, the reactors, how to farm them. They're trying to improve that as well so that it's much more easier and simpler to farm the reactors. They want to change the whole things. Basically, if you're doing a dungeon, what they're thinking is maybe only the reactors for that descendant will drop, things like that, just to make it more user friendly. And they also said they will be adjusting and monitoring the core system to improve and balance things for the weapons using that. Next was a question regarding the ETA vouchers that you get from the Colossus, the 4 that you get. People are asking if you could, increase the drops and things like that. And so basically the answer here was they have no real plans for that, because the intention here was you do this a bunch of times, you collect the back attachments, you maybe get 1 or 2 skins for your favorite descendants. The idea wasn't that people will farm and try to get skins for every single descendant that is in the game. So that is why they kept it difficult, but they did say they will monitor it and see the difficulty and see how many skins and things are being bought, and they will again consider future drops and whether to increase it or things like that. Now this next question is something I'm interested in. Once again, somebody wanted to know if with the new augments and improvements of weapon core system for the different guns, are they planning to do something about the rare guns? Because some of them are really good, and I agree, they are well designed, they look good, some of them are very powerful. And they said, yes, that is something they are discussing, but at the moment they are focusing on improving the ultimate ones. But once they have that, they will look at the rare guns and how to improve them. But that is a low priority thing. They'll do that in the future. And then the final question was regarding the external components, because that is something that is not really that good. And once again, they said, yes, they are looking at changing the farming of the external components and the whole system in general. So because at the moment, what we do is we go to a Colossus, we get 2 pieces, and most of them have poor stats, and then only the Slayer set is really something that everybody wants. So they are trying to balance that and increase the farming and things like that. So that is again something for future consideration. So that is the important questions and the replies that I saw from the dev Q&A. It was a lot more tamer this time, but generally regarding the power creep, they seem to be okay with that. They are trying to increase the difficulty of the content and also improve the descendants to match that. We've already seen, like with the Void Purge at level 20, Ines can clear it, but the others may have some difficulty. So another 10 levels will be added in February, and then another 20 will be added in March. So they have some plans for difficult content for the veteran players who can, farm and develop that and go and complete those missions. So yeah, overall, it was a generally chill session, and most of the questions were rather straightforward, and most of the things they answered was, to be fair, we already knew. The thing that I really liked was the increase of the metal fragments in the infiltration, because now you don't have to farm the defiler over and over. You can get 40 from there as well, and you can do other things as well, like testing your descendants and things like that. So anyway, I just wanted to make a quick summary video. Hopefully this was useful. Thank you for watching, and let me know if you want me to cover this style of stuff in the future, because again, I'm not sure if people are that interested, but I did sit through the Q&A, so I thought I'll just summarize this here. Anyway, thank you for watching. See you next time.